Home Improvisation belongs into the same category as Surgeon Simulator, I Am Bread, Co-op, or Octodad. These games are mostly based on virtual simulations that are in some way difficult to control, often with a borderline haywire physics system at its heart. And it too wants to use this difficulty in control scheme as a source for comedy, which is obvious from the second you start looking at the game's trailer.
Congratulations! You're the proud new owner of a world-class home improvisation dream home. This instructional video will provide you with essential tips on decorating and assembling furniture with the fervor of a true upper echelonian.
The same way how ineptly operating on a patient and inadvertently injuring them in Surgeon Simulator, or haplessly flinging around Octodad's eponymous boneless character wants to elicit laughter, Home Improvisation wants to amuse players through the frustrating gameplay of assembling IKEA-style furniture. It's an interesting concept of tackling engagement when your goal is not to give players easy ways of doing things that feel good in a game with tight controls, but rather have them do monumentally frustrating tasks with barely working controls that almost never end up giving a decent payoff. In this game's case, this means that you're given a bunch of individual furniture components and are tasked with assembling them without the game providing any assembly instructions. So the challenge here is twofold. For one, you have to figure out how this mess of components is supposed to make a table or a lamp, and on the other hand, it's also a test of spatial awareness, because rotating and placing components can be fairly tricky from this isometric viewpoint. And components don't just snap together in the correct orientation as they would in a puzzle game. They connect at exactly the angles you position them in, so getting things parallel is a breathtakingly frustrating experience. Unfortunately, there are a few aspects that make this game feel more like a proof of concept rather than a finished title in its own right. There's no tutorial cluing you in on how things actually work, you simply have to figure it out for yourself. And that's not just reserved for how you can manipulate these components. If you're not aware of the fact that there's a toolbox in every room containing tools to help you also disassemble incorrectly snapped together components, you'll never be able to finish any piece of furniture in the way that resembles what it's supposed to look like. You're not told that these tools exist in the game, and even the one sentence that mentions it in the Steam description is vague at best. Another reason why this game doesn't feel like it used most of the potential it had lies in the fact that there's nothing rating your performance. And I know that a big part of this game is about giving the player a sort of sandbox experience where later tools you unlock allow you to place connection holes and pegs yourself and create your own monstrosities, which to its credit all work perfectly fine. But if you intend to just build whatever the game tasks you with, it never tells you how good or bad you were at it, because unlocking further furniture only requires that you use up every single component of the current thing you're building, regardless of how it ends up looking in the end. In conclusion, Home Improvisation in the way it's presented appears to be mostly YouTube fodder for Let's Players, similar to what Goat Simulator was. Playing it alone is not a fulfilling experience, and just like other frustrating to control games, it seems expressly designed to induce the kind of screaming rage in people getting paid to yell at webcams in order to amuse their easily satisfied audience. I can't comment on the multiplayer aspect, but let's be honest, everything can be fun with other people, so I would hardly count that as a point in its favor. And since I don't own a VR headset, I can only comment on the bare single-player PC experience. I would not recommend buying this game. Even though there is a creative sandbox aspect to it, it's extremely limited given how the biggest and most elaborate things you can build are still smaller than a regular room. If you simply intend to finish the pieces of furniture the game provides you with, you're looking at around 2 hours of entertainment, and that's about all there is to this game unless you're inclined to find your own fun by creating your own pieces of furniture in this game that paradoxically wants you to be creative with its tools, but makes those same tools unwieldy for the sake of comedy. What I'm trying to say is that this game is unfocused in how it wants players to engage with it. A better attempt at this style of game would have dropped the bad controls in favor of giving players better tools to be creative, or removed the creative sandbox aspect entirely for a more robust challenge curve and a grading system that incentivizes players to improve, like the Zachtronics games. But in its current state, it's merely a distraction to pass the time in between more fulfilling experiences.